Welcome to our deep dive
Okay.
into this I Pet Goat 2.
Yeah.
It's a
I Pet Goat.
animated short film.
It's an amazing film.
Yeah, and it's gone viral.
It really has.
I mean, for
It
all
has
the
layers to it.
symbolism in it
Yeah.
and just like thought-provoking imagery.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be talking about
It's a wild ride.
two podcast hosts
Yeah.
that broke down this film.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
You may have seen I Pet Goat 2 before.
You probably have.
It's been making the rounds.
Yeah.
But
It's been around for a while.
we're going to try to offer a new lens
Absolutely.
to view the film through.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
What's fascinating about this film is that it's not just a visual spectacle.
Right.
It's really sparked a lot of different
right.
interpretations and analyses.
Yeah.
It really gets at like our deepest anxieties about the world today.
So the podcast hosts that we're referencing describe the film
Okay.
as something that hits you at a gut level.
I would agree with that.
Really.
Yeah.
It's unsettling, but it's also
Very much so.
strangely beautiful.
It's beautifully made.
And every detail seems
Every detail is meticulously crafted.
very meticulously crafted.
Yeah.
Which adds to the dreamlike quality of it.
Mm-hmm.
Almost hypnotic.
And that dreamlike quality is really carefully constructed.
Yeah.
The filmmakers, I mean they blend like hyperrealism with these surreal elements.
Yeah.
The source material mentions the muted color palette.
Right.
And you might notice how these muted tones enhance that dystopian feel.
Okay.
And the fluid animation style. That's another key element that really draws you into this unsettling world.
Okay.
And the music shifting from like ominous to hopeful mirrors the whole emotional arc of the film.
Speaking of unsettling.
Yeah.
The source material points out that the film doesn't hold your hand.
No, it doesn't at all.
You're all just kind of thrown right in.
It just throws you
right
into the deep end with its narrative.
Yeah, with this complex narrative.
Yeah.
And
it tackles some heavy themes right out of the gate.
like what?
Political corruption,
Okay.
societal manipulation,
Okay.
and the potential for spiritual awakening.
And so right away in the opening scene, we see these puppet-like figures of George W. Bush and Barack Obama.
Right.
And that immediately suggests some type of critique of like cyclical leadership and a lack of authenticity.
A lack of authenticity for sure.
And that title, I Pet Goat 2, instantly connects us to that My Pet Goat book that Bush was reading during the 9/11 attacks.
Getting 9/11.
I mean, it seems like the filmmakers
They're drawing a direct line.
are drawing a direct line from that moment to themes that they're exploring.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the title could be a commentary on how events like 9/11 are used by those in power to further their own agendas, often at the expense of the people they're supposed to represent.
Yeah.
This really ties into those feelings of lost agency and anxieties about political unrest that the source material mentions.
The podcast goes really deep into the symbolism.
There's a lot to unpack.
And there's a lot to unpack there.
For sure.
We see a crumbling tower.
Right off the bat.
An obvious
very echo.
In 9/11. But
while the tower might seem like a simple representation of 9/11.
Right.
The source material suggests there's a deeper meaning.
What do you mean?
Think about how this crumbling tower could also represent the decay of trust in institutions.
Yeah.
Something that a lot of people
For sure.
are feeling today.
Then there's also the all-seeing eye.
Yes.
Within a pyramid.
The all-seeing eye, a classic symbol
like the Illuminati.
Often representing these unseen forces that shape our lives in the context of this film.
Yeah.
It could represent corporate or governmental power.
Okay.
Maybe hinting at the manipulation and surveillance themes that run throughout the film.
One of the most striking images to me was the child with a barcode on her forehead.
Yeah.
I see that as a critique of consumerism reducing individuals to mere products.
Well, I understand that interpretation.
Okay.
I'm also drawn to how this barcode also represents this loss of individuality. Yeah. The source material discusses how modern society pressures us to conform. Yeah. And this image of a child branded with a barcode really speaks to that pressure.
That's a great point.
Wouldn't you say?
It adds another layer
I think so.
to the film's commentary on societal control. And what's so interesting is that
the film never
never
explicitly states its message.
Right. It's so open to interpretation.
Very open.
Which is why it sparked so many conversations and analyses.
Yeah, exactly.
This ambiguity is central to the film's impact.
It really is.
It really is.
I think it invites us to engage with the material actively, drawing our own conclusions based on our own perspectives and experiences.
And this open-ended approach really resonates with the source material's point about this film tapping into shared anxieties about political unrest, feelings of lost agency, and a yearning for deeper meaning.
Absolutely.
It's like the film is holding up a mirror to society and reflecting those anxieties.
Right back at us.
Back to us.
The symbolism is further amplified by the film's unique aesthetic. The muted tones, the fluid animation, the shifting music. All these elements work together to create this atmosphere of unease and uncertainty. But they also contribute to the film's haunting beauty, drawing us in, even as it disturbs us.
The source material mentions how the film's animation style despite its surreal elements, is incredibly fluid.
It's very fluid.
And lifelike. It almost feels like a contradiction.
It's interesting.
Given the unsettling subject matter.
It is interesting.
That's an interesting observation.
It seems that the filmmakers deliberately used this fluidity to contrast with the puppet-like stiffness of the politicians in that opening scene. Perhaps this contrast symbolizes a lack of genuine action or a disconnect between those in power and the people they govern.
The source material also highlights that I Pet Goat 2 was a labor of love.
It really was.
It took over 6 years to produce.
6 years.
It speaks volumes.
That's a long time.
Of the dedication and vision of the filmmakers.
It does.
And this dedication
and it's apparent.
Is apparent in the film's meticulous attention to detail.
That attention to detail is everywhere. The podcast hosts point out the use of numerology throughout the film. The time on the clock. The recurring motif of the number 6. These details, which are often overlooked on a first viewing, add another layer of symbolism and suggest a deliberate effort to embed deeper meaning into every frame.
It makes you want to watch it frame by frame.
Absolutely. You almost need a notepad and a calculator to catch all the details and the symbolism.
There are also these subtle nods to mythology and religion throughout the film, particularly with the veiled Christ figure.
That's where things start to get really interesting. What's intriguing here is that the source material suggests that this figure isn't just a representation of Christianity, but a symbol of a broader concept of spiritual enlightenment.
Oh, interesting.
It seems the film is prompting us to look beyond traditional religious boundaries. And consider a more universal path toward meaning and purpose. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Okay.
That's interesting.
It is very fascinating. And this ties into the idea of spiritual awakening as a response to the anxieties that we've been talking about. You might notice how the film doesn't shy away from depicting a world in turmoil. But it also hints at the possibility of finding meaning and purpose amidst the chaos.
It's fascinating how I Pet Goat 2's manages to balance these seemingly contradictory ideas. Darkness and hope.
It's a very delicate balance.
Despair and transcendence. The use of lotus flowers throughout the film reinforces this idea of spiritual rebirth and growth. In many cultures, the lotus is a symbol of purity and resilience. It emerges from muddy waters to bloom in the sunlight.
Exactly.
It's such a powerful metaphor.
Very powerful.
Potential for transformation. Even in the face of adversity.
So even though the film depicts a world grappling with some serious challenges, it also offers this glimmer of hope
Right.
This idea of a spiritual journey rising above the muck and mire seems to resonate with viewers.
The source material highlights how many people find the film both disturbing and inspiring.
Very much so.
Yeah.
I think it challenges us to confront these uncomfortable truths about the world while also encouraging us to believe in the possibility of positive change.
But doesn't offer
easy answers.
Easy answers.
Right. Or a utopian vision.
The utopian vision of the future.
But it does suggest
that
we have the power to choose a different path.
Absolutely.
That's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah. It's not a passive viewing experience.
No,
it's a call to action.
It is.
An invitation to engage in critical reflection and consider the role we play in shaping our future.
I think about how the film's spiritual dimension connects to this idea of agency. It's not just about recognizing the problems of the world, but also about recognizing our own potential to contribute to solutions, to awaken to our own inner strength and purpose.
So the podcast we're referencing also dives into some interesting trivia about the film. Did you know that the creators' Heliofont incorporated a lot of numerology into the imagery?
Yes.
Yeah.
The recurring use of numbers.
Like what?
Like 666.
Okay.
And the specific times displayed on the clock are fascinating.
Yeah.
These details, which often go unnoticed on a first viewing, add another layer of depth.
That's great.
And suggest that every element of the film was very carefully considered and intentionally placed.
It really encourages a more active way of watching. You almost need a notepad and a calculator to catch all the details.
Catch it all. And symbolism. There's so much packed into this short film that it demands multiple viewings.
Yeah.
Each time you watch it, you're likely to discover new details and layers of meaning that you hadn't noticed before. It's like peeling back the layers of an onion, always finding something new and intriguing beneath the surface.
The film seems to encourage a sense of curiosity and a willingness to delve deeper.
To look beyond the obvious.
To look beyond the obvious. And explore the hidden meanings embedded within the imagery.
And that's part of what makes I, Pet Goat 2 such a unique and enduring piece of art. It's a film that continues to start conversation, debate, and introspection long after the credits have rolled.
Wow.
It's not a film.
That's a great point.
You simply watch and forget.
Right.
It stays with you,
really
prompting you to consider different perspectives.
Wow.
And question what you thought you knew.
The podcast hosts describe the film as more than just a film.
It's an experience.
It's an experience. Journey into the depths. Of human consciousness.
They suggest that it explores our collective fears, our shared hopes, and our potential for transformation. It doesn't offer easy answers or simple solutions. Instead, it challenges us. To grapple with complex questions about the nature of reality, the power of symbolism, and the search for meaning in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming.
You mentioned the anxieties that this film evokes. And I think for me, it's this anxiety about not seeing the full picture
Interesting.
that resonates the most. We get so caught up in the day-to-day, the surface level, that we might miss the deeper currents, shaping our reality.
That's a great point, and it connects beautifully to the film's call for spiritual awakening. It's about waking up to those deeper currents, becoming more aware of the forces that shape our lives, and realizing our own potential to navigate them in a world that often feels saturated with information and superficiality. I, Pet Goat 2, offers a much-needed dose of depth and substance.
It encourages us to slow down, pay attention, and engage with the world around us in a more mindful and meaningful way.
In a more mindful way.
It's a film that rewards curiosity, critical thinking, and a willingness to embrace
absolute
ambiguity.
And that's ultimately what makes I Pet Goat 2 such a powerful and thought-provoking piece of art.
Wow.
It invites us to participate in the creation of meaning, to find our own truth within that labyrinth of symbols and imagery, and to embrace the mystery and complexity of the human experience.
So it's a lot to think about.
It is. Yeah. It's really a journey. I mean, that's what we were just saying.
Right. Yeah. It really is a film that stays with you. It prompts you to keep thinking.
Keep questioning.
Keep questioning and keep exploring those deeper layers of meaning.
Absolutely.
It invites you to have conversations like the one we're having right now.
Exactly.
The podcast hosts we've been referencing describe the film as both haunting and hopeful.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think we can both agree on that. It presents a vision of the world that's at times pretty bleak.
Yeah.
But it also suggests the possibility of something more.
Yeah.
Something beyond the darkness.
I think that duality is what makes it so powerful. It doesn't shy away from depicting the challenges that we face, both individually and collectively. But it also offers this glimmer of hope, a suggestion that we have the capacity for growth, transformation, and even transcend.
If you haven't seen I Pet Goat 2 yet,
you got to check it out.
I highly encourage you to check it out.
It's readily available.
It's readily available online.
It's online.
And it's definitely an experience that will stay with you. You might want to watch it a few times, actually.
You should watch it a few times.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack.
A lot to unpack.
So much to ponder.
Be prepared for a journey.
Yeah.
A visual and intellectual feast that will challenge your perceptions and invite you to see the world in a new light.
In a new light.
Remember, it's not about finding all the answers, but about embracing the questions.
Those questions.
The ambiguity.
The ambiguity.
And the mystery.
As we wrap up our deep dive into I Pet Goat 2, we want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What will you see in this labyrinth of symbols and imagery?
What meanings will you uncover?
Yeah, what meanings will you uncover?
What questions will it spark within you?
This film is a mirror, reflecting not just the state of the world, but also our own inner landscapes. It's a journey of discovery, both personal and collective.
It is.
And ultimately, the meaning that you find within it is the meaning you create.
Exactly.